When I hit the record button, it lets you guys know that I'm recording, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. I don't want anybody surprised later. Well, you didn't tell me, and then they want me to delete the video.
Yeah. Plus, there's a little record button in the top left corner of my screen. So.
Okay. Very, very good. All right, so let's get this shit started. All right, guys. So a lot of you know what's going on, right? Obviously, the whole Ukraine crisis seems to be expanding, right? So it's the entire world, if you will, is going to probably most likely get involved at some point. We have China, I don't know, fucking gave North Korea a weird note or a message about their time is coming or some shit like that. Something about them jumping in. You got Pakistan who met with Russia and China. We got a lot of fucking weird shit going on. We have a lot of countries that are backing Russia's move on moving on to Ukraine. That's also a bad thing, right? And then you got these personal sanctions, or rather these sanctions, which a lot of them are stupid, you know, but once they went after him personally, that raised the stakes. So we are definitely in a, I would say, in uncharted territories right now. Some people would say no, because we've been here before during the Cold War, but I don't think even during the Cold War, we were this close to nuclear war. This is pretty fucking close. I think this is even closer than the, what was it? The whole Cuban Missile Crisis thing. Just because Putin is making threats and he's not letting up, right? So he's not, you know, he's not retracting them. He's not saying, you know what, I would do this if this happened. He's just throwing it out there. He threatened, what was it, Sweden and Finland as well, because if they join NATO, he wants to throw that threat on the table with them. He also said in a video interview, which I think it was yesterday, the day before yesterday, he did say that what would the world be like without Russia in regards to going to war, going to nuclear war. Sorry. So it looks like he's all about this. Looks like he's not going to. Looks like he's not going to back down. Yeah, I don't think America is starting this with Putin. If anybody, and listen, I'm going to cut people's legs off right now. If anybody's going to sit here and say that America is starting with Putin, when Russia has always been a thorn in our ass, always. There is no starting with a country that has been bullies. And case in point, look how they treat their own people. I'm sorry, there's no, we started with them. And not for nothing, but this administration is like dragging their feet. Like they don't want to do anything, but they're being pushed into the corner of doing something. Listen, guys, Russia has always been the thorn in America's side, always. Under every leadership they've had, they've always wanted to top United States. So this is not anything new. And this is not us picking on them. This is us. First of all, Obama was trying to keep the peace with Russia. Trump was trying to keep the peace with Russia. And even, who the fuck was it before that? Obama, Trump, and even fucking the Bushes and Clinton were keeping the peace with Russia. Russia senses blood in the water, which is weakness from our administration, and he's making his move. That, and he wants the USSR back. He wants the entire Soviet Union back. So he's making his move now. So, you know, as much as a lot of us disagree with what the United States does, this is still our country first. There is no siding with Russia on any front. I tell people this all the time, and I have no problem telling people in the group, if you are even suggesting that Russia is innocent in this, then I don't know what else to tell you. I would tell most people they have to leave this group, because I'm not gonna stand for anti-American sentiment and putting Russia on a pedestal. I had people on my YouTube channel do that shit, and I was pissed. Enough already. The United States is not clean. Russia's not clean. China's definitely not clean. We have, how you say, crooked politicians in every aspect of this planet. Every aspect. There's a crooked politician everywhere, from the little town mayor to the president or prime minister of whatever country. Unfortunately, guys, you have to stand by your country, because when these people, and if these people come and invade, which I think is highly unlikely, there is some wiggle room to argue that they could. But if they were to come to invade, they're not going to sit there and go, "Oh man, you liked America? Let me look at your. I mean, you like Russia? Let me look at your Facebook. Oh, you're pro-Russia." They don't give a fuck. They're going to kill you just the same. So whether you agree with me or not, that's opinion. But the whole, Russia's innocent bullshit, you got to kill that shit right away. Russia is known for lying. That's all they've done. All countries are known for lying, but Russia lies specifically about things we know the truth about, which is insane. No, and yes, America is not innocent either, but we're not going to play that game. That's not my concern right now. I can care less about America not being innocent. I just said that America is not innocent. I do not care in this specific case. We have trouble heading towards us, and they're not going to sit there and try to decipher who's against America or who's for Russia. They're not going to sit there and do that. They're going to fucking nail us all the same. Either you're for this country and you're going to fight for this country, or you're going to leave and go somewhere else. That's the ideology behind it, or my ideology behind it. With that, guys.
Jason, isn't that America is not innocent? That comes from an hate America first sort of mod that really seeks to push down America to the aid of our enemies. And they think, oh, every country is just the same. People who haven't traveled think that opinion and don't have any clue as to how bad it is in the Soviet and now Russia. And they think, well, what's the difference if the Russians are in charge? Yeah, I'm not going to, we shouldn't entertain the idea, that lunacy that actually is extraordinarily dangerous.
It is. It's the same lunacy that we saw during, not we, because we were not born yet, but I would say during the World War II, when people were taking that same sentiment with Germany. They're trying to defend Germany. Well, you know why they're doing this? Because, and then they were like, what the fuck? And there was no shit, a little faction here in the United States during World War II that was actually fucking supporting Germany in their campaign. So, and it was small, nonetheless, it was small, but it was still here. It was insane. So, guys, again, a lot of people were talking about them bombing the biolabs, and like, oh, they got rid of the biolabs. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Every country has biolabs by not Putin, but everybody's what you call it. They should bomb all biolabs. They should bomb the biolabs in China, in the UK, in Australia, in New Zealand. They should bomb them all then, right? Not just bomb American biolabs and go, yes, they got rid of American biolabs. That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard of. Because that leaves Russia and China with them. Right? And listen, to be fair, I think all of them should disappear. If there was a way to make all biolabs disappear, that would be great. There are some, and I hate to say that, there are some positive to biolabs, right? Obviously, they're needed because when there's new viruses and things that are not created, but out in nature, and they have to figure it out. That's why they have biolabs, But yes, they should definitely get rid of all of them. Someone just had their hand raised. I'm sorry if I missed it. Oh, Mike, go ahead.
So I think it's important for everybody to know right now that there is an information war going on, and a misinformation war at that. A lot of the stories that you hear about heroic efforts and things, there's contradictory stories to them. For instance, the ghost of Kiev, the pilot who's shooting down everybody. There's rumors that it's true. There's rumors that it's not. The folks on the island who told the Russians to go screw themselves. There's actually video of those guys surrendering. So there is an information war going on right now that's designed to confuse and disorient everybody so that nobody really knows what the next move is. And I think the most important thing for us to do now is make sure everything's in order and plan contingencies, guys, lots of contingencies. Because like Jason said, we're in uncharted territory and these are extremely dangerous times.
Exactly, Mike. And you know what? Again, my talking about the whole pro-Russia or anti-American, even listen, I know a lot of people are not, but people make these comments and they're just really asinine. To move past that, we have to actually protect ourselves here. because like I said before, Russia don't give a fuck and China doesn't give a fuck. They can care less. They are, looking to take this country for whatever they can take it for. What we need to do is, first of all, prepare and keep preparing and keep stocking our shit away. I know I talked about canning before. I would like to do an actual canning class, but I need a kitchen, right? And the place we used to use is no longer available to us. We have to, I would say, guys, today, start going to the supermarkets, start putting more shit away, right? I would absolutely keep growing the food stocks. I would absolutely start the whole, what is it, the iodine tabs that they use. Those are good, but they're a half measure, right? They're not an absolute. They only protect your thyroid. They don't protect the other soft tissues in your body that will be exposed the radiation. So with that being said, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to go get a book that everybody should order today if you do not have this book. It's the nuclear, what you call it, book. Let me be right back. Well, hopefully you guys can see this. I'll read it to you first. Nuclear War Survival Skills by Crescent H. Kearney. Hopefully I said that right. He's the original author of the 1979 Oak Ridge National Laboratory edition. If I'm not mistaken, this guy was a nuclear scientist or some kind of that's the book. Hopefully it shows the right way on your side. This is the book everyone should be looking into. If you live in an apartment, a lot of this stuff actually doesn't work for us. It works for people who have homes and shit like that, or bunkers and things like that. It could turn certain parts of their home into a bunker, or dig part of a dig part of the ground out of their property to build a bunker. So a lot of this we can use, but a lot of it, if you have a home, it's excellent, aces. As Tina was asking, Russia, Ukraine are entering into talks despite Putin getting nukes ready. Any idea on the first nuclear target? So I've been told is actually New York City, the financial district to be exact. That would be the first nuke to drop, and that would create the obvious. It would create fear and pandemonium, but it would tank the economy. Now, any nuclear war is going to tank the economy. That's just a given. We've seen it with, well, Hiroshima, we saw it, but you drop a nuke on New York City, it's an entirely different ballgame. Tina, thank you for the link. Thank you for putting that link up. So this is again, these are things we should absolutely be doing. Also, those of you that live in the city, have a plan. Have a plan of escape. The whole, unfortunately, guys, some of us might have to stay where we are if we can't get out in time. Some of us are going to have to leave before this shit gets even worse, right? The bomb shelter. Yes, Sharon. So also, guys, know where your bomb shelters are. I know that there's a bomb shelter here in the building, right? I have one here as well. If we have to, we'll head down there. My parents' apartment is pretty much, it's on the 21st floor, but it's made out of steel and concrete and thick concrete. The only thing we would have to block are the windows. So we definitely have a plan here. You guys have to
Jason, those bomb shelters were decommissioned in the 80s. So if you're expecting any supplies, or even if they're still functional and haven't been drilled through with doors and windows put in them, you would have to inspect them. And then there's the issue of who's in the bomb shelter, and probably the people that are in control of the building, doesn't mean the owners, will be the ones determining if you're allowed in or not. Probably a good idea to be in control of the bomb shelter.
Well, right. Thank you for bringing that up, Daniel. So the thing with bomb shelter, guys, is right. They've been decommissioned since the 80s, late 70s, 80s, depends on where you live, what state you live. Sorry. Some of them are storage units, right? So you'll open the door and you'll see fucking just shit in there. Some of them are legitimate storage units now, right? So they have storage units in this building, for example. But one of the bomb shelters is still a pretty decent empty room. There is windows in it, but there've always been windows. What you do is you just block them off. There's actually a bunch of empty rooms downstairs in my building, like a bunch. So we have the pick of the litter of which one we're gonna hang out in until some of the shit blows over. If we get caught here, I'm hoping we don't, but that's just the realism of it. And here's the problem with leaving. And some of you are thinking, well, when's a good time to leave? That's the problem. Because we're in this situation right now, he could launch the nuclear bomb tomorrow. He could fucking launch it 5 years from now. If you decide to leave because you're scared of nuclear war, which most of us are, when is the proper time to come back then? Right? If this back and forth keeps going, it can go on for months, it can go on for years. So what do? Well, that's why you get your plan ready. You have it ready, and you try your best to execute it. Right now, the first stop for us is my parents' apartment. If we can get out of the city, we'll either head up to the Connecticut or we'll head up further upstate New York. Those are 2 options. Again, guys, you have to have some kind of, and you have to have multiple backup plans, right? If the George Washington Bridge, for whatever reason, collapses, right? Then what? You need a backup plan for your backup plans for your backup plans, right? It's probably as simple as that. Guys, as far as water goes too, if you're in the city and that happens, the water system might shut down. You're probably going to have to store more water in preparations for this. Mike, go ahead.
So something I want to talk about with everybody is a method of planning. It's something that the military uses, and they typically attribute it to a comms plan, and it's called PACE planning. That's an acronym. It stands for primary, emergency, primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency plans. And every plan should have a PACE plan around it. So that way you have backups and redundancies to your plans. And if you think of everything in the terms of primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency plans, you'll probably do okay. So I would highly recommend PACE planning for all your planning.
Thank you for that. Absolutely. So, I mean, listen, guys, we thought a lot of us, I think a lot of us, I would hope so. A lot of us have thought about this before, right? And as far as like planning to get out of the city, I know a lot of us who are out of the city already, we still have plans to, get further away from the city should anything crazy happen that far north. City evacuation, guys, is going to be tough. And for example, we have the truck packed, right? Or rather, I'm packing it today. I'm repacking it. Got all my camping gear and shit. I'm repacking it today. I said, if the shit is on and we get the first whatever warning that a nuke is here, we jump in the car and we leave. We don't grab anything else other than what's in the car already. The whole like gather your shit, that's for longer emergencies that you can see coming from a long while away. When you have something like a nuke that's headed this way, or the possibility of him launching, you're gonna run into traffic jam. That being said, you got to make sure your car's filled up, which I did the other day, and actually I did it the other day in preparation for the spike in gas prices going up. But so that's squared away. When I'm done with this meeting, I'm gonna go downstairs. I'm gonna reorganize the truck, put every last bug out bag in there, and then some things of food, and hopefully it doesn't get broken into. That's what we're dealing with here. In my neighborhood right now, we got some asshole breaking in the cars, taking shit out. So, guys, this is getting real. That's the bottom line of it. I don't know what else to say other than everybody needs to have a finite plan, and you need to have that backup plan, like Mike was saying, because you can go to the George Washington Bridge and that's collapsed. Well, there's a couple other bridges to get out of here as well. You should know those bridges. If you have to walk, you should know a footpath out of here as well, in case you have to walk. I know a lot of people will not be able to walk, so that might not be the option for you. But if you are healthy and you have healthy people in your group, walking is probably going to be your option. So with that, also, guys, if you have people outside of the city, who are gonna back you up, have a meeting place for them to pick you up to take you the rest of the way wherever you're going. Sharon Duffy, city bikes. City bikes were an option. Someone offered that, but can you leave the 5 boroughs with a city bike? That's my question. Some people say that there's trackers on them, so they might shut down before you get out or lock up on you before you get out. So I don't know how that works. And Tina said a lot of Ukrainians who are leaving have just a little more than clothes on their backs. Right. That's why, guys, like I said, make sure your shit's squared away and ready to go. And even if you take your car, for example, and you run into traffic, then your backup plan to that is grabbing just your bug out bags and walking out. Right. So again, backup plans are backup plans, right? It's the same thing Mike was just saying. I've thought of as much as I can think about in regards to. Rami said you can leave, they won't lock up. All right, takes them to Jersey. He takes them to Jersey all the time. All right, cool, very good. I didn't know that. Thank you for bringing that to light. I appreciate it. So then get a city bike, guys, and pedal your fucking ass until you can't pedal anymore. Or if they're electric, I guess, right? Use electric. Now, I wanted to get an electric bike. I was going to put it in the storage unit, but I never got around to it. Here's the other thing, guys. Plan for something bad to happen, but do not let it disrupt your life. So just because the idea of this guy wanting to launch or destroy us or land a bomb on our heads, whatever it is, just because he's looking at that, just because he's exploring that option, doesn't mean we stop living, right? So we still have to continue to live. We still have to continue to go to work, send our kids to school, but we have to keep the other eye on if this can happen. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't want people to sit here and start going, we got to get the fuck out of here. This is getting, no, plan to leave, but go on with your life. Sharon Duffy, depends on which missile he uses. Sharon Duffy's asking, how much time do we have to get out of Dodge if one is launched? It depends on the missile he uses, but if I'm not mistaken, anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes, right? If I'm wrong, someone please enlighten me. That's what I was told. And that's what I read, sorry. It was 20 or 30 minutes. If the China gets involved and they use the hypersonic, then I think we have less than 10 or some shit like that. But again, Mike, go ahead. 2 hands up.
Yeah. So let me put my hand down here. That thing drives me nuts. So for folks who can't get out of the city, if you're stuck there, don't think all is lost. As we've seen in Ukraine right now, the countryside is actually what's really war torn, and they're just now making it to the cities, and the cities are heavily defended. So if you're stuck there, don't think all is lost, but have a plan. Make sure you know what your inner and outer perimeters are and what to do when those are compromised, if anything ever came to that. Have rally points with your locals. I use a method where I draw a circle on my map, and overlapping circles would be rally points for the 2 individuals who I circled. And keep that within a comfortable walking distance from where you're at, because if you don't have a vehicle, you want to be able to get there on foot in a timely fashion. Your circles are much smaller in the city than mine are up here upstate. I think I've got a 9-mile circle. So I would only have to walk about 4.5 miles to get to someone. But I've been planning this stuff for a long time, guys. And I hate to say that we might have to use some of it. So plan accordingly and hope for the best, I guess. Establish a comms plan if you can. Even if you guys just have walkie-talkies, all have a set channel now that you can speak on later if things go bad. And always talking code on something like that. You don't want to tell anybody your address or your real name over the airwaves. So always speak in code, and now you can give yourself a cool nickname for the end of the world. So take advantage of it.
Definitely. Anna, you go.
I I just have a comment, something I've been thinking about. It sounds kind of callous to say this, but in terms of watching all the things that are happening in Ukraine and seeing how individual citizens are responding, I think that this is good research for preppers. Taking a look at what works, what's ineffective, what strategies you can employ, and so on. Again, I know that sounds very brutal of me to say, but I certainly do think that this is in some ways kind of will provide good insight. And I think that he just gave us a great illustration of that, talking about the difference between, what's going on in rural areas versus, the more heavily fortified cities. So I think that was a great point. Thanks.
Thank you, Ann.
All right. So thank you for that, Anna, and thank you for that, Mike. Appreciate it. Listen, it's interesting. A lot of us, in the prepper community, we've always entertained these ideas. It's always been something in the back of our heads, and now we're actually seeing it unfold. At least it's unfolding on the other side, where more threats are being made, and Putin is becoming a tyrant. And again, the guy has always been the ultimate. For those that don't know, Putin was KGB, right? He was old school, and KGB, they are fanatical, like CIA, right? Fanatical liars. That's what they do. That's his job. His job was also to make shit up on people to get them killed. That was one of his jobs, right? That being said, guys, how do we believe anything that comes out of his mouth? Right? Now, granted, we have our America, liars as well. But when you have two liars lying at each other about everything, who do you believe? Now, fortunately for us, a lot of us know how to read the middle grounds. And what at least I am believing, is the comments and the actions coming out of the mouth of Putin with these threats. Because he was talking nuclear war years ago when he had first gotten to office. If I'm not mistaken, he talked about it being an option if he had to. Now we're 20, 30 something years later, 20 something years later, and now he's talking about it again.
Here, I'll get it.
Though he is one of the biggest liars in the world, I do tend to believe him on this one, just because he's angry. They're painting him into a corner, so he's absolutely going to do some shit that's going to scare the entire fucking world. And even he said, if we go nuclear, humanity is gone, right? And listen, we all know that. Every last one of us sitting here knows that as soon as the first missile's launched, it's game over, right? Because then it's going to be on. It might not look like war games. It might not be missiles simultaneously flying through the air at the same time, crossing one another, but it'll be a shit show for a long time. So we have to consider that. We have to consider that the first nuke that goes, we're going to be in a bad way for a long time. So
that's the important thing, Jason. That's the important thing. It's not like people have this imagination. Oh, the nuclear war comes, we're all going to be vaporized in an instant. No. You don't have such luxury. You will actually survive, most likely the 90% that do, but in a horrible, horrible environment where preparation will minimize your misery. If you're not prepared, you're going to be incredibly miserable until you do die.
Exactly. Thank you for that, Daniel. Exactly. A lot of people think that we're just going to, vanish in the thin air. Listen, if you are by the strike zone, you're one of the lucky ones. If you are in the blast zone, you're not so lucky. If you are outside of any nuclear strike zone, you're one of the lucky ones as well, right? So again, we have to take it. We have to. I hate doing that, but we have to compartmentalize. Sorry, these things that are going to happen, because we can't all just fucking give up. Like the first nuke that goes, we can't just be like, oh fuck it, man, this is it. I'm done. I'm not going to fucking prep anymore. Unfortunately, we got to keep moving. Go ahead, Mike.
So I think it's important. Everybody keeps saying iodine, iodine, iodine. It's iodode. It's not iodine. They're two totally different things. Iodine you use to treat water. the potassium iodide, I believe it's still pronounced iodide,
Iodide,
is
yes.
what you're looking for. They're K1 pills. They're designed to block up your thyroid. And if you're anywhere near Indian Point, you can pick those things up at any pharmacy within like 10 miles of Indian Point.
Yes.
Mike, I have a question for Mike.
Yes.
Why all this concentration on 1% of your body that is protected by the iodide? That's like sort of it's like bringing a sun umbrella to a tornado or a hurricane or both simultaneously.
Exactly. It's the minimum that people can do to try and protect themselves. And I think a lot of people take stock in that because most, when the IAEA, the Atomic Energy Company there, they wanted to hand those things out to people in case of a slow leak. They're really not designed for nuclear blasts. So, the thought is that most of these nuke plants would be able to contain a leak and minimize the exposure to people, and that the K1 pills would help minimize even further absorption of radiation, low levels of radiation. So, I mean, it's not a cure-all, and it's definitely not a fix for nuclear warheads. Your best bet is to get out of Dodge and mine wind.
Mike, I posted just now a radiation detector that's in stock, because actually that will save your life. In other words,
Absolutely.
the iodide pill and hope is the only thing you have. If you can if you can detect the undetectable, in other words, you don't feel heat from radiation, unless it's so hot, you're going to be dead in seconds. But the radiation detector will tell you what area is less dangerous in your bunker or in your bomb shelter while you wait for things to cool down.
Correct. You got to
So-
have one if that's the plan,
So,
unfortunately.
Flora Brun.
Hi, yes.
Go.
Hi, I just wanted to show everyone, I've been a prepper for 20 years, and I usually carry this on my keys, which is the radiation detector. It kind of gives you the slow leak, allows you, especially for moms. We're walking around all the time with little people. And I always say to walk around. I'm originally from New York, Mount Vernon, and I've had this for years, like anywhere I am, just to test the radiation. Also, you can test how much activity is in your space. Also, for those who want to know how to kind of counter some of the radiation, make sure that if you're exposed to radiation, you're also making sure you check your potassium. Usually potassium is leached out of your system, and magnesium. And then you start getting symptoms of like jitsiness or leg jumps and things like that. Make sure now that you're accommodating for your potassium, magnesium, because that's the first thing that's being eaten during times, even with slow amount of radiation, which we get every day, slow amount of exposure to radiation. Also, I wanted to suggest, if anyone, I don't think anyone has talked about it, having respirators. Respirators are great. I have one for my little ones and myself. They have one by Kickstart. I'll see if I have the link for everyone. It's fantastic. And also having goggles. You have to protect your eyes, your ears, and your mouth. So if you're living in the city still and you're going to go outside when there's any exposure, you need to make sure you have a respirator on. That's number one. If you're exposed to radiation also, do not wash your hair because it actually spreads. So make sure you're not wetting yourself. There's a whole, probably in your prepper book, there's a whole system of how you deal with any exposure whatsoever. That's all I want to add. Yes, right there. It'll add that in the book.
Yes,
Okay.
guys. So
Sorry.
thank you for bringing that up. When I was a fireman a long time ago, they told us how to get radiation off, right? And obviously you don't do that with a bath. You try to get as much as the debris off as you can. There is a solution that we use to get the rest off the skin, but you have to be careful, and that's why I use cold water, not hot. And if you're going to do this, guys, you have to use cold water. Keep that in mind. Cold water constricts the skin so that nothing else gets into it, and then the rest washes off. Keep that in mind if you absolutely have to use water. Water is not your last resort. That's your second stage after you do what she said. Brush everything out of your hair as much as you can. Cover your eyes, because your eyes, tongue, and your nostrils are soft tissues. Not your nostrils, but the inside of your nose is soft tissue and can be absorbed very, very easily in there. The Nuclear War Survival Skill book, that book, guys, you should absolutely get. there's going to be a lot of information in it. All right. So as far as a respirator goes, the respirator should be graded for such. Keep that in mind. You can't go with any old respirator. The respirator has to be graded for nuclear, right? Or radiation, rather, sorry. Right. You can't go with, I don't know, an N95. You know, that's not going to work. You have to go with something graded for it. So there is a mask floating around my apartment somewhere. It's actually a full face. Guy gave me, what you call it, nuclear biological with it as well. But that's just one. And I'm not going to wear it because the kids and the wife don't have it. If they had it, then yes, we've all done it. But I have one that I can't use because the family can't use it. Unless I go out on my own to do scouting or whatever it is, then I would put it on. But I couldn't use it and leave them behind, is what I'm saying. So make sure you grab one for all your family. Now, guys, with this being said, I recommend starting today that you start looking at a lot of this stuff online because it's going to start flying off the shelves, so to speak. So do yourself a favor when this when this Zoom meeting is done.
In the cabinet for the other one that we're reading the other day. Bring that here and we'll share.
Go ahead, Remy.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. All right. So yeah, Remy just put a link in the description section. He says better Geiger radiation detector. Oh. The only problem with that is it's not ready to ship yet. Son of a bitch. Oh, but it will ship February of this year. Okay, so maybe it's available. And they reached their pledge goal, so they should be shipping them out soon. It's a Kickstarter, guys. You got to be careful with Kickstarters. I've put enough money in the Kickstarters and haven't gotten shit back from them. But look at this, see when they initiated it, because my guess is if they recently initiated this could be a scam. But I would also call them, go on the community board, see the comments that are being left behind before buying into this.
Jason, I looked into that radiation detector, and there is the problem that it's not here, and it might arrive after the nuclear war is over. But also radiation detectors come in various sensitivities.
Yes.
And the less expensive ones are for people who are in radiation sensitive environments. So they need to know when even minimal levels of radiation are exposed or are around them. I don't recommend those because after a nuclear war, you're not concerned about the low levels of radiation. You are concerned about high levels of radiation. These meters will peak out. In other words, their needle will go full, so to speak, at very low levels and won't be able to tell you what's just mildly annoying from what's going to kill you in 5 minutes because they'll be overloaded and you can't tell the difference. The reason I put the particular radiation detector in the link from Amazon is that it has a wide range and yet is inexpensive. You can spend ungodly amounts of money on radiation detectors. I don't recommend those little tag things because they're placebos. They don't tell you, unless you're about to die, and that's a problem. You want to be alerted before you're about to die. You do have to spend some money, unfortunately, to save your life.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And that's the thing, Daniel, thank you for bringing that up. For all of these devices, guys, that are up here being suggested, you got to do the research in them, right? That's the bottom line, and that's pretty much what Daniel is saying. You got to do your research in a lot of these because we don't know. You don't want to be too scared that you're buying everything. That's the other thing. All right. You don't want to sit there and some website is promising you 20 years of survival if you eat this. Like, you don't want to buy into everything that's on there. Right now, I suspect that there are going to be more people coming out with bullshit to get us to buy it. So they're going to be playing on our fear. So you got to watch out for that. You're going to see a lot of people coming out with all these gadgets and gizmos playing to our fear. So keep that in the back of your head if you can. Listen, guys, other than that, the world is changing very, very fucking fast right now. Everything is moving at an alarming speed. We have to adapt and keep abreast of what is going on. Gene, go ahead.
Yeah, what at the beginning of the live stream, did you mention something about a dirty bomb threat to New York? What was that? I didn't hear anything about that. So, but I'm
All
not
right,
in New York.
so yesterday and today, I've been hearing about a dirty bomb threat going down. Supposedly the rumor is there's a dirty bomb here in New York City somewhere, and that the FBI and I think the ATF and somebody else is on it. I think even Secret Service might be on top of this. Again, it's a rumor, right? Just like the rumor of the Hasidic Jew community moving up north to get away from the dirty bomb that's here. So, guys, here's the other thing. Thank you, Gene, for bringing that up, by the way. I appreciate it. The other problem with guys is that we're going to be hearing a lot of rumors, right? Mike said the whole thing with the Ukrainian army telling the ships to go fuck themselves, or the ghost of Kiev were BS. And supposedly the ghost of Kiev, when I read into it, it was started by a gamer, right? Like a gamer came up with that plan, and people bought onto it. The whole the island there off of the Ukraine that was attacked by the ships, I thought that they were legitimately attacked and that they died, but apparently they didn't. So again, we have to sit back and take all this information in and then decipher it. Because guys, we're going to be hearing all kinds of shit now. And listen, this is the conspiracy theory side of me entering this comment in, if you will. Maybe that was the plan all along, to get us frustrated with all of the information that they threw at us over the last 5-6 years. All the bullshit, oh, well, that's fake news, or that's not fake news, well, that's really fake. But then 6 months later, well, it's not really fake, this is what happened. And so now they have a lot of us, especially guys like myself, in the middle. I don't lean too far in any direction anymore because I don't know what to believe. It's all too much. And I think when you don't know what to believe, it puts you actually in a dangerous territory because you second guess everything, which can delay your reaction to something if it happens, right? So it's a dangerous place to be. And I have to admit, I'm in that dangerous place, because I look at everything and I go, I don't think so. Now, something that's life threatening, whether it's fake or not, we should absolutely take it seriously. All right, so sorry, reading a comment here by Eddie. Eddie said, if something does happen, do not go to your local hospital. They will be overwhelmed real fast. Please have your backup medicines and someone in your group with medical skills to help out. We are experiencing shortages right now, and in some basic medicines due to shipping issues. Thank you for that, Eddie. He's right. So don't go to the hospital. Take care of yourself. Make sure you got your back. Hey, interestingly enough, for those of you that know who Bear Independent is, he sent me a stomp bag. I'm going to do a video on that stomp bag, but that's a fucking mobile hospital. It's insane. Here's the deal too, guys, with medical equipment. If you're going to get something with medical equipment in it, you have to learn how to use it. You cannot buy this stuff, leave it in your bag, and go, I'll figure it out when it happens. No, you will not. When it comes to medical equipment, you want to be Johnny on the spot with it. You want to be able to learn how to use this thing so that you don't delay help to somebody by reading the directions. Well, step 1 says do this, because then you cost you valuable time, right? You don't want to do that. Oh shit, this fucking computer.
Karen's making it.
No, somebody else just jumped in and then jumped off. That was looking to come in. All right, so Sharon Duffy said, my boss is from the Brooklyn Syrian Jewish Hasidic community, and they haven't left for the Catskills. So in my opinion, that's only a rumor for now. Thank you, Sharon. Mike confirmed that as well. We have a buddy upstate. He confirmed it the same as well. So now I could break that guy's balls for fucking starting bullshit. But anyway, that's a different subject for a different day. As far as guys getting any equipment, whether it's medical or not, learn how to use it, learn it now. Do not wait till the shit hits the fan and then you're like, well, how do I do this, right? I sat there playing with my solar generators for fucking like a half hour when I first got them to learn their ins and outs and how they work. medical equipment, the same thing. You got to learn how to use it. And also, just because you have bandages doesn't mean you apply them simply. There are certain methods you can do to slow bleeding down and things like that with bandages, right? And the obvious technique of putting the one's limb above the heart and all this other shit. But there's a lot to do with that. I like to run those classes again as soon as I find a place. Somebody did put the address up of a place that we can meet at. It sounded like the same. Oh, where the bomb shelter was at. Sorry. Someone put the bomb shelter. That was a church that I think I went to the other day with Karen, I think. But anyway, guys, that being said, this actually ran almost an hour. Again, guys, stay abreast of what's going on. But you have to decipher what's what and what's not. Unfortunately, I hate to say that. I hate to say this, but when it comes to threats in the United States, mainstream media, because they love fear mongering, they actually report the stuff. But I look at it and I go, all right, that's a possibility. That's where, not that I trust them, but I also back up what the rumors I find through them. Because a lot of the rumors we've heard, mainstream media didn't play. But a lot of the shit, when it comes to threatening this country, mainstream media actually comes together like, we got to report this shit, you know? So not that I trust them wholeheartedly, but I do use them as some kind of backup to what's going on. So we have to stay abreast of what's going on. Twitter is a decent place, though I hate those fucking assholes on Twitter. Twitter has been letting us know what's going on in Ukraine and what Russia's doing. There's somebody called Mike follows him. It's called Disclose TV, right? Disclosure or Disclose, right?
Disclose TV.
Disclose TV on Twitter. If you have a Twitter account, follow them. They are really on the money. They're really spot on with reporting shit the right way.
And they do retract anything they put up that's wrong. They'll issue a correction as soon as they find out. So,
see, there you go. So that's a better reason to follow. So, guys, other than that, listen, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for sharing. Mike, thank you for helping. Gene, thank you for helping. And what's her name that had a hand up? The young lady that had a hand up. She had a long name. Anyway, thank you for throwing out that Flora Brun. That's her name. Right. Thank you for throwing out the information that you did as well. So, guys, any other... Hey, now she's in the store. She was in a car. Now she's in the store. So, anything that's going to happen that's going to change drastically, we will be having, I hate to say this, more emergency meetings. So do me a favor, stay close to the email during the week, because I could be popping one up during the week. I could be popping one up Sunday because shit is changing and we need to be on the same page. Also, between now and I'm going to say Friday, I'm going to try to come up with a better plan for those of us that are in the city, because I don't think that we should absolutely be like, fuck it, every man for themselves, right? At some point we have to tie together, and if we don't leave, if we can't leave and we're stuck here, then we're going to be stuck helping one another out. That's how we're going to have
I'll give you a tutorial on those maps I did, Jason. Maybe they can benefit you guys down there.
Roger that. Thank you. Yeah, you definitely do that. That'll definitely help. All right, guys. So other than that, like I said, stay close to the email. There'll be more constant updates. And that's pretty much it, guys. Everybody stay safe. And if you hear anything, please, you can text me at 917-3. Do not call me. I will not pick up the phone. So you can text me at 917-376-2724. And other than that, guys, also, sorry, Tina just said, don't have a car, get a zip car membership. That's not a bad idea. But remember, if you're going to use a vehicle to get out of the city, guys, you might run into traffic if you don't get the jump on everybody else. Keep that in mind. So your ass is going to have to be walking, using your feet. So just keep that in the back of your head for vehicles. That's why the person who said city bike earlier, that's a way to go, or one of those motorized bikes, those are the way to go. You'll zip through traffic a lot quicker. Right, guys? So other than that, I will see you guys probably next week, if we don't start glowing in the dark. All right, guys.
Thank you.